Cold just like hot. Cold just like hot. Cold just like hot. Cold just like hot. You need to stay off Tatooine if you can.
Hey, what's up everyone? Frivolous here, back here with another video. And guys, we have episode 44 of Building Hoth, and I'm really excited to show you guys what we got done. Most of the progress is going towards, of course, the mountain section that we showed in last week. But you can actually see a huge difference between last week's episode and this week's video. I kind of went from that little half that was in last week and kind of doubled it and just continued working on it. And that's not just everything we got done. We also started working on the pillars, or the dugouts, I guess you could call them, in the actual hangar where the snowspeeders lay, or land, I guess. And I really like how they turned out, and I'm excited to show you guys what they actually look like. And overall, I'm excited to show you guys everything that got done. Hopefully you guys will understand that it doesn't look like a huge amount of work went into it, but honestly, all the filler that went under and inside the mountain, that took a while, and I can understand why people complain about mountain work, because it's very repetitive and takes a bunch of filler. So before I do leave out, I do want to quickly thank you guys for the response to the previous episodes of the new Q&A series I started up. I was not expecting it to get that much attention, and I appreciate all the newcomers to watch it, as well as those who are enjoying the new series, and I'm looking forward to continue that one alongside future videos to come. So I think that's going to be it for the intro. Let's get right into today's episode. Okay guys, so like I always do, I kind of give you an overview of what the mock's looking like. And guys, it actually is looking really nice, especially with the inclusion of this area right there. And it kind of just looks even cooler, I guess, with the snowspeeder flying out. But yeah, that's what the mock is looking like right now, and I actually really like how it's coming together. So again, most of my time for this week actually went into this whole area. And don't worry, I'll show you guys what the mountain's actually looking like in just a moment. So yeah, that's, as you can see, there's a big difference between last week's episode and this week. So you can kind of notice what I did last week and kind of what I did this week. So the blue kind of panders off on what I got done in the previous week, except of course with the mountain, and then I guess you could say that pink and different colored parts are kind of what happened this week. Don't worry, I haven't run out of those. It's just I realized something and kind of figured this out. That's why this area is kind of not covered yet, because of the reason that I've decided, and I talked to a few friends of mine, and they agreed that the best choice for the actual ground for inside the base should just be regular white plates. So I'm going to be using 4x6 plates to kind of just cover the rest of this, and then of course the inside of the base. Now if you're curious why I'm not doing like tiles or kind of the same technique in the battlefield, because of the fact that since the battlefield's all terrain, this is kind of the terrain outside, and you can kind of see I've continued the terrain right here up until the door, and I'll get into that more in just 1 minute. So the reason why that's outside is because that is a terrain, where the inside is going to be more, you've got vehicles coming in, you've got footprints all over the place, and it just wouldn't, it wouldn't be completely smooth like if it was completely tiled. Originally I was going to tile it over, but with time and money situation, it just, and well of course logistical reasonings, it just isn't the best choice for going for groundwork. So I talked it over with my friends. I also talked over with Jay in a kind of private call, and he agreed that the best choice would be just plating it over with regular plates. Now I have run out of the 4x6 plates. I used the rest in I think it was the little areas of the footprints on the far section that's still right there. And I kind of run out of them, so I need to place another order. I have them in my cart on Bricklink. It's just I have yet to purchase it. But yeah, so that's why this area is kind of just like, you can see a bunch of different colors, and it's not final. So don't worry, that will be completely done, hopefully in the next week or two. Don't worry, if it isn't filled in next week, it'll be filled in the next week. It's just kind of getting the parts in hand, and then of course making it look nice. So then you won't have to see all these different colors on the inside, and it'll all be looking like that. So overall, that this is what the behind looks like. You can kind of see this is part of the dig out or dugout, whichever one you want to call it. This is where the snow speeder is going to land. This is actually a more, I guess, nicer or finished design. As you can see, there's some stuff missing at the top right there. This is a more finished design. Don't mind the colors on top because of the fact that on the inside you're not going to see it. But turning around, you can kind of see what it's looking like. And I'll turn this the opposite side. So they both are exactly the same, of course, because they would be exactly the same. And that's what they're looking like. I think they came out really well. As you can see, this is facing downward where this is facing up. That was a tricky part figuring it out because of the fact that they don't have inverted. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, just a heads up. While recording a video, do not push or poke at your projects or else they will fall. Okay, so that's fixed. Don't worry. It usually is sturdier and will continue to get sturdy because, of course, there's going to be stuff on top of it. It's just at the moment, this isn't held in at all. It's kind of just there. Okay, so like I was saying before I poked the thing, this is the slope I'm using to get the kind of a angled slope going out. Sadly, they don't have any inverted slopes. Let me focus on this. So they don't have any inverted slopes, so I can't really, have one that has studs on top that's going like this. So I have to use the regular slope, and that's just going to have to do. So that's why I had to figure out, okay, so this has to be facing downward, I guess you could say, and it works. I had to figure out a few techniques, and I came up with one that was pretty easily, put together and wasn't that hard and didn't take, an insane amount of parts to actually face it down. It was actually pretty simple, and it was quite funny because a friend of mine came over because we were building some stuff, and he came over and he tried working on a different technique because I didn't have this built at the time. I was kind of prototyping it, and I kind of mentioned how I was going to build it, and he's like, okay, I can help figure this out. And so he spent like a couple, not even a couple, it was like, he says it was like an hour, and I was just sitting back watching him use this fancy technique that used a bunch of different pieces. And he's like, how's that look? And I'm like, it looks good, but I'm going to show you something a little bit easier. And I put together this, and he looked at it, he's like, you made me work that whole time when this was such an easier and better better design. I'm like, yep. And I don't know, he wasn't mad about it. He quite likes doing different techniques, and he thought it was hilarious afterward. So don't worry, I'm not that bad of a friend. It was just really funny watching him prototype something that I had already figured out. But back to what I was saying. So that is kind of just a half one of those, and as you can see, it just is standing right there. My goal was to have one, like a half of one right here next to the door. That way, you can come into the trench, or not in the trench, the hangar, and then you've got a snow speeder here, and then you've got the other part of the dugout, which is going to be one right here, which is going to be right there with a. I don't know if I'm going to put a snow speeder directly there, but you see what I mean. And then you'd have another one right roughly here. And now that realizing it actually should fit perfectly well. I was worried that I was going to have to use another half one on this side. My main problem with the half side is you can see a bunch of different colors, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But basically, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do something with half one, and it's just going to have to show a few different colored pieces on this side. But then I realized that there's actually enough space to put in a full one right there, which is actually pretty cool. This is roughly around the size that a snow speeder can fit in. Also, if you're curious what I'm doing with the X-Wing, don't worry, I still have it built. It's actually on a desk behind me. Don't worry, I've actually figured out a way around the X-Wing. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in the middle of the hangar, kind of getting ready to fly out. If you go back in the movie, the X-Wing actually was just sitting in the middle of the hangar. So I don't really have to worry about, oh no, I have to make these dugouts like really large to fit both the snowspeeder and an X-Wing. Nope. I literally am just going to put this X-Wing right spank in the middle. So, yeah, that is the situation with the dugouts. I really like how they're coming out. I do have an order coming in with more of the inverted 1x2x4 bricks, or not bricks, but slopes. I have a few more coming. I have an order with quite a few of them in that order. Hopefully, I was hoping they were coming in today so I can kind of just touch up that real quick. But sadly, it didn't come in the mail. I'm hoping it will get in the next day or so. So, moving on to that, another little thing I did do. Actually, I did this earlier today while I was in a meeting. I kind of just put this little row of pink bricks on that side. This is going to be the next parts after I get this somewhat situated. I'm going to work on this side. My main goal, again, I'm taking this to Brickworld Chicago. No matter what, I'm taking it. But I have to figure out the mountain situation. Luckily, this side's going pretty well, and I still have a lot of slopes in hand, and then I have slopes coming in the mail. But I need to figure out this two areas first before I can continue on with certain things. And I really want to get as much done on this, and that way I can actually get working on this. So that's why this pink line's already there. I have a lot more of these 1x4s in hand, so I'm going to kind of just continue that way. That way I can kind of get a start on this side. That way I can kind of be both working on this side and working on this side. Then after this is like half-ish done, I can actually start working on these two areas, which are kind of blank. I want to get through these quite fast. Luckily, there's only a few things that are going to be added. On this side, there's the giant cannon that I'm still holding hope will get done in time. My friend James is actually starting working on it, so hopefully it'll get done and it'll be put in place. And then on this side, of course, is going to be the little medical chamber. So I'm still optimistic about getting everything done. It's just it is getting closer, so hopefully I won't have to make any cutbacks. But don't worry, for the most part, this and this will be done. Also, if you're curious why I have a bunch of the 1x4 pink bricks, I've realized that they're actually pretty cheap. Not in the ways of like they're cheap material or anything like that. It's just they actually are really cheap, and I don't know why. I've yet to see many pink sets, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I am wrong, and they're just a mass quantity. But I have a ton of them on hand, so that's kind of why. For the past while, I've been buying more of those than blue or any other color. So I think that's pretty much it for the tiny portions of, I guess, the video. Time to get in the thing that spent the most time and probably the coolest part of today's video. And guys, that is what the mountain is looking like at the moment. So I know it does not seem like that much went down on the mountain this week. But there actually really was a lot done. If you remember last week, we kind of only went to, well, yeah, roughly here, because this was kind of the end point. So that's kind of where I left off, and if you just look at that, the overall, I guess, length of the mountain is done. So it just goes from there to there, and that's where the entrance of Echo Base is going to be. And that's kind of why I have the snowspeeder there, because I don't know, I really like how that looks. I think it looks so cool, the snowspeeder flying out. And that is going to be one of the poses I'm going to have, or I guess parts in the mock, or in the final look at the mock. I'm going to have a snowspeeder flying out the entrance. But yeah, so that is the look at the mountain. And honestly, I actually really like how the mountain came out, or is coming out. I guess it hasn't come out because of the fact that it's not done. But I do want to point out that this is done. This is kind of the white border, I guess, continuing upward. As you guys know, I have a white border going throughout the whole mock to kind of give it a nice looking I guess it makes it look a lot nicer. Not, we don't get all those different gross different colors on the inside. Um, so it is nice having that white border kind of just continue upward, and it actually looks pretty cool looking at it from this angle. So that was done. It was actually pretty simple. I got a bunch of white bricks in the mail, so I kind of just put it up, and I still have a bunch done. I also need to do the same on this area right there, just continue it upward. And yeah, that's pretty much what we got done. Uh, Again, it doesn't look a ton, but the reason why it took a long time is, of course, getting the filler in the actual mountain done, as well as all the filler that are underneath this. Now, I do want to give a huge thank you to my friend James, because he brought over a bunch of filler bricks, I guess you could say. He brought over a bunch of bags, or brand new bags, from the Lego Classics line. He had a bunch on hand, as well as I was wanting to give him a few things, and he's like, "Here you go. Go ahead and go through all of this and get what you need, and use it to your contentment." And he's like, "I don't care what's left, just use as much as you want." And so I do want to give a huge thank you to my friend James for helping out, and that's why, as you can kind of see, also inside, there's a bunch of random yellow, pink, purple, blue, yellow, red, green. It's just a bunch of random colors. That is why, because he gave me a bunch of different filler bags. So I do want to give a thank you to him, and it helped out. I still got a bunch more filler brick, which is going to help out with the mountain, as well as finishing that, as well as continuing somewhat on this side. And I think that's pretty much on, I guess, the front of the mountain. The rest of the work kind of went on the inside, and I can turn it around just a bit. That way. Yeah, let's move Mr. Snowspeeder over here. So this is pretty much what I guess the inside of the mountain is going to look like, right next to the door. This is what I've got it at the moment. Again, this is not finished right here. This is kind of just marking where the door is going to be. Now, I do want to quickly point out that the door is going to be stagnant, or I guess better yet, it's not going to be able to move, so I'm not going to have a function where it could slide in or out or close. I know that might disappoint some of you. I know a few of my friends were like, "Man, you should have it, be able to close." But I was talking to Jay and a few other people, and they're like, I tried to understand, explaining why have it stagnant, and they agreed. The reason why is, during the whole battle, the door's open because, of course, you've got vehicles flying out. So there's no logical reason for me to close the door, and yeah, I guess it would be pretty cool. But overall, adding the whole function of a door opening and closing, just for the sake of, because it'll be cool. It just isn't really logical for me at the time. Maybe if I had a little extra time and realized, okay, I want to get a movable door inside the base, I think that would be pretty cool. But since throughout the whole convention, the door is going to be open because it's the Battle of Hoth. It's not Echo Base, just as it is. The door's going to be open, so I don't think it's that big a deal. But this kind of just marks where it's going to be. It's going to be 2 bricks, or 1 brick in length going down this way. I have a feeling it's going to stand out to right here, and then the rest is going to be completely open. Same on that side. It's just going to go out just a little bit. But one thing I was wanting to have inside the actual cave, and I know in the original outline I kind of had the door kind of just right next to the mountain. I went back and looked at some concept art, or some really nice shots of, I guess, the entrance of Echo Base, and I always see that there is kind of this little bit of mountain or rock work inside it before you hit the door. You've got the mountain, and then it kind of curves inward, like it was dug out, or it was a kind of, well, yeah, it would be dug out by the rebel troops, kind of like how the trenches, you can see it, okay, you've got this regular mountain, and then boom, it swoops in. And I was like, okay, I really want that. That's accurate to the movie, and it isn't that big a deal, and plus it'll make the mountain with the door look a lot nicer and more accurate. So I did start working on that. I actually really like the little transition between the full-on mountain, then of course you got this little cutout of the mountain, and then of course you got the door, and then you have this little area which is still technically mountain work, but then of course you've got the first part of the dugouts for the snow speeders. And I don't know, I really like how that looks. Again, I've already figured out how I'm going to do the door, so I've got those in my cart. I'm just waiting to buy it. Isn't the biggest thing at the moment because it's something easy that I can just build up. So that's pretty much it for the actual mountain work. I really like how this is looking. As you can also tell, I finished the I guess terrain look at the base of the mountain. I have a feeling that the terrain work is going to stop right here. That way, you've got the terrain coming up to the door, and then of course you've got the plates continuing onward. So that's pretty much it for the actual mountain work. I do need to figure out something what I'm going to put behind that, because the snow speeder actually just goes behind right here. So, or not behind there, but it ends at the end of that. So I've got all that extra space from there to all the way to the next section. So I need to figure out something to do there. I know I'm going to put a medical bay around that area, but I'm just trying to figure out, okay, do I make the medical bay that large, or what do I do? If you have any other ideas, let me know in the comment section below. So I think that's going to be it. Let me go out to the final bit of the outro. Okay, so for the final end of today's video, what did you think? Again, I hope you guys understand that a lot of work went into those mountain. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I now understand why people complain about mountain work, or at least some people complain about mountain work. It is very tiresome because of the fact that I have to add, layers of filler brick just before adding, of course, the slopes to it, because adding slopes isn't hard. It's just making so it's sturdy and doesn't collapse on its own self. So what did you guys think of today's episode? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, definitely smash that like button, as well as if you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe. We got some awesome videos coming along. Again, I really enjoyed how the mock's coming together, and I look forward to showcasing this at Brick World Chicago. So I think that's going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.